Hello and welcome to the new style Edexcel GCSEs. These are the ones that go from grades 9 through to grade 1. This is paper 1MA1/3H. It's the third paper in the higher tier. It is a calculator paper, so we are allowed to use calculators. The time allocated for this is 1 hour and 30 minutes. You must have a ruler graduated in centimetres and millimetres, protractor, pair of compasses, pen, HB pencil, eraser and calculator. What I would suggest though with regards to the pair of compasses is make sure they're nice and stiff, that when you open them they stay open to the right level. You don't want the compasses to keep falling back and making it difficult to draw a circle or to measure arcs or whatever. With regards to a calculator, make sure it's your calculator, that you're familiar with its little quirks. Just because you know how to use a calculator doesn't mean you know how to use all calculators. Different calculators have their own unique little personalities. And I'll give you an indication here. We've got this calculator here on Windows is in the scientific mode, and it is algebraically programmed. If I type in something like 2 plus 3 times 5, it will give me the correct answer as 17 because it's evaluated the multiplication before it's done the addition. However, if I change this to standard form and I do the exact same operation, 2 plus 3 times 5, it gives me the answer 25 because it's evaluated what I typed in the order that I typed it in. It doesn't differentiate order of operations. So it's important to know your own little calculator's quirks. I'm going to reset that to scientific mode. Okay, so we're given some instructions here. We're told use black ink or ballpoint pen. This is very important because scanners and photocopiers don't always see blue ink. So when the examiner comes to look at your work, they can't read it. If they can't read it, they can't mark it. Then we're told fill in boxes at the top of this page with your name, centre number and candidate number. Even if the examiners can see your work, they can't award you the marks if they don't know who you are. So it's very important to fill in those boxes. I know that's fairly common sense, but it's easy to forget during the stress of the exams when you're anxious to get in and start answering the questions. So the next piece of advice says answer all questions. I would take that one with a pinch of salt. What it actually means is that all questions will be marked. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to answer all the questions. You won't fail the exam if you miss one question out. If you're stuck on a question, move on to the next question and come back to it if you have time. Don't waste time staring at a question you don't know how to answer when you could be hoovering up marks on questions you do know how to answer. Answer the questions in the spaces provided. There may be more space than you need. Also bear in mind, if you do write outside the boxes, those boxes are the areas that will be scanned. If you write outside the boxes, it might not be scanned and you might not get marked for it. Calculators may be used. Again, make sure it's a good working calculator, that it's got the batteries in and everything, and also make sure it's your calculator and you know how to use it. You will suffer if you run into an exam with someone else's borrowed calculator and you're wasting time trying to find where the buttons are and you don't know the particular quirks of that calculator. If your calculator does not have a pi button, take the value of pi to be 3.142 unless the question instructs otherwise. Yes, okay, that's good, but I have never in my life seen a scientific calculator that doesn't have a pi button. Make sure you are using a scientific calculator, especially one that's got sines, cosines, tangents, your basic trigonometric functions. You will almost certainly need them. It's also a good thing to make sure your calculator has powers and roots as well. Diagrams are not accurately drawn unless otherwise indicated. What that means is you can't just take out a protractor and read off the angle, or you can't just measure the length that you're being asked to find. You will have to do your maths. You must show all your working out. That's very important. You can you do often get marked for the working out as well as the answer. So just because you get the right answer doesn't necessarily guarantee you full marks. And even if you get the wrong answer, if you've shown your working out, you can often be marked for your working out. The total mark for this paper is 80. The marks for each question are shown in brackets unless use this as a guide for how much time to spend on each question. Well, we're given 1.5 hours to do the exam. There are 80 marks. 1.5 hours is the same as 90 minutes. So if we budget 1 minute for each mark, so if you've got a 3-mark question, take 3 minutes on it. If you've got a 5-mark question, take 5 minutes on it. If you do that, when you get to the end of the paper, you should have 10 minutes left over to go back and check your work. So about a minute and a mark is sensible. So the advice we're given is read each question carefully before you start to answer it. Keep an eye on the time. Try to answer every question. Check your answers if you have time at the end. All very good advice. And the only thing I like to add to that is make sure you go to the toilet before you go to the exam. Nothing worse than being halfway through your exam and your bladder's screaming at you that you need to go toilet, and you have to choose either to lose precious time going to the toilet because you're not given any extra time for a toilet break, or sit there, make it difficult to concentrate because your bladder's telling you need to pee. Okay, so moving on. Question 1 says the diagram shows a trapezium ABCD and 2 identical semicircles. The centre of each semicircle is on DC. That means that the line DC is running through the diameter of these 2 semicircles, which back to back covers the entire 12 centimetres. So that means each of these circles has a diameter of 6 centimetres, which means they have a radius of 3 centimetres. Work out the area of the shaded region. Give your answer correct to 3 significant figures. Okay, so the shaded region is just the trapezium, the area of this trapezium, minus 2 times the area of these semicircles. Well, 2 lots of half a circle is just 1 circle, so we can pretend that this is just 1 circle. The area of that circle is just pi r squared, and we've already said the radius is 3 centimetres, so we've got pi r squared is equal to pi times 3 squared, which is 9 pi. So that's the area of these 2 semicircles. So then we need the area of the trapezium, which is 28 centimetres plus 12 centimetres divided by 2. So it's the average of these 2 lengths multiplied by 14. So we've got 28 plus 12 divided by 2. And then that's got to be times by 14. Well, 28 plus 12 is 40. 40 divided by 2 is 20, and 20 times 14 is just 280. You are allowed to use a calculator if you can't do that in your head, of course. So the answer is 280 minus 9 pi, for which I will need a calculator. So it's 280 minus 9 times pi. And I've got 251.72566 whatever. So this is actually 252, because this is asked to 3 significant figures, and greater than 1 with a decimal point, they're all significant figures. So these 3 significant figures is the 2, the 5 and the 1. However, this 1 is going to round up to a 2 because the next digit on is bigger than a 5, so this rounds up to 252. Okay, I hope that was helpful, and I'll see you in another video.